Episode 9, 5-1, Current Favorite Baseball Players.
You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of 5-1, the best hour of your day and the best list podcast in existence. 5-1 is all about the countdown from our panel of experts on a different topic each week. Today we are featuring our favorite current baseball players and our style of counting down from 5-1. So we are recording this episode on August 13th, 2016, which just so happens to be the 25th anniversary of Mickey Mantle's passing. Mickey Mantle is one of the greatest players of all time, one of my favorite players of all time, and I could spend the next hour talking about Mickey Mantle alone, but he is not the topic of today's episode. I'll save that for a later one. But in honor of the Mick, we thought it would be fitting to do a baseball episode. I know we ended last week's show with the plan of listing our 5-1 presidents this week, but I was summarily voted down on that idea. Jett, you didn't like that idea?
No.
Why not?
It's because it's boring sitting down and go, number 5 is Obama.
What's wrong with that?
Do you even know 5 presidents?
I think I know 4.
Okay.
That's great.
So that would have made the list hard, but it wouldn't have been boring. There's plenty
Lots of
to talk
things to
about
talk
with
about.
presidents. They are historical figures that are historical figures for a reason because they accomplished something, and we could talk about those
And
accomplishments.
some are interesting, like the Abraham Lincoln and the JFK shootings.
Regardless, we're not doing presidents this episode.
Sadly.
I was voted down. However, I love baseball, so I'm excited for this episode. I have 2 other panelists here with me to discuss the 5-1 favorite current baseball players with me. I highlighted current there because we are not including any retired or past baseball players, just players that are in the game today. So we have some introductions that are in order. I am Can of Corn Chris, and to my left I have with me Mr. Bases Juiced Jett, and he's my 9-year-old baseball player himself. And joining me on my right is Kade. So you guys probably need some explanations on those?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start with mine. You know what can of corn means?
No.
Okay, these are all baseball terms, and I figured you guys probably wouldn't know them. Can of corn is a pop fly that's hit to the outfield that's really easy to catch. So they call it a can of corn. It's been around for a long time. Where it came from, I think, was like back in the old days when they had cans of corn in the grocery, or cans of everything in the grocery store, and you needed to get one down from a high shelf. They had this stick they would use, and they'd like hook it and pull it down, and they'd catch it in their apron, and it was easy to catch. So that's a can of corn. I think a broadcaster started using it, so it's just been around for a long time. Jett, bases juiced Jett. Bases juiced is just another term for bases loaded. The runner's on first, second, and third. And Kade. Do you know what K means in baseball?
No.
It's the abbreviation for strikeout. They call it a K. So if you go to a game or you watch a game on TV and there's a pitcher who's got a lot of strikeouts, like over 10 or over 15, the record is 20, by the way, and you see there will be somebody in the outfield, like a fan, lining up Ks on the wall, and it's one for each strikeout.
Oh.
And I think it came from just, well, first of all, the K sound and struck out, but also it's like a knockout. Like a lot of times you hear announcers say, like,
Who has a record of 20?
several players have done it. Roger Clemens has done it twice, I think. He's the only one to do it twice. So that's what your names mean. You got a little bit of baseball history and well, not history, but education and learning the lingo today. Jett, you've gotten more and more into baseball over the past year. Partly it's a replacement since you are no longer a wrestler. And what do you think about, or I guess what do you like about baseball, both as a fan and as a player? Well, let's start with one. What do you like about baseball as a player?
I like because, like, usually everybody's inside or, like, playing video games, right? But, like, I like being outside and playing sports and not always just inside playing video games and stuff.
So you get to go outside and play, and you like baseball more than other sports. How come? What do you think is fun about the actual game of baseball?
I like the concept.
Okay. Well, what do you like about baseball as a fan? Like, what do you like to do as a fan? Do you like to go to games? Do you like to watch games on TV?
I like to go to games.
How come?
It's because, like, it's cool to see the players in real life. By just watching it on TV, it's cooler to see them, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is fun. It is really cool. It's like these guys are superstars, and you go to a game and you see them like right in front of you. It's kind of cool. Kade, you're actually quite the baseball player, but you've let it pass you by since you've decided to focus mostly on wrestling.
Combat sports, physical.
Yeah. Well, what do you like most about going to a live baseball game?
Like Jett said, seeing the players in action, and they're like right there. It's like when you're like watching WWE like live, or if you're at like a red carpet meeting or something like that, you could like see them like up close. I find that cool.
Yeah. Okay. So
and the exhilaration of when someone hits the ball really far, you're like, oh, it's gonna be a home run.
Yeah. So you're right. Like it's different when you watch it on TV and they hit the ball. You can tell if it's going to be a home run or not, usually right away. But when you're at a game, it's harder to tell.
People's moving around, and you don't have a camera focusing on like the ball, like if it's gonna go farther.
Right. So there's a lot of anticipation after they hit the ball, and the crowd kind of gets excited and they cheer, and you're watching and you're thinking, is it going to go? Is it going to go? The crack of the bat sounds better when you're live. Baseball has been a large part of my life, both as a player and a fan. And we'll have other episodes on baseball players and teams where I can get more into my memories. But I will share this sentiment since we're talking about current baseball players. I love going to baseball games. And one of my favorite aspects about that experience is when you get into the stadium and you're walking around the concourse. When you first exit the concourse and you come out to the seats and you can see the whole field in front of you for the first time, I've always loved that feeling. It's larger than life to me. It's massive. The grass is so green, and they have these patterns on it that they've like mowed into the grass, and they're like crisp and perfect. And I love that. Usually you've got guys warming up on the field, and the crew is out there. They're drawing the chalk lines or they're combing the sand, and you just get pulled into another world. And you're there for like 3 or 4 hours. And during that time, the outside world isn't there. Your whole world is that stadium. I love that feeling. And the stadiums themselves, they're like giant pieces of art. The architecture is amazing, and a lot of the stadiums, they just ooze with history and nostalgia, and I love that feeling. So I'm glad we're all in agreement that we like going to baseball games. It's something we need to do more of. So are you guys ready to get started?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, Kate, so are you ready to go first?
Yes, I'll go first.
Okay, can you tell me your...
Number 5.
My number 5 is
Number 5.
My number...
Number 5.
My number 5 is Madison Bumgarner.
Madison Bumgarner.
He is one of my favorite current pitchers right now. And I've only seen him in a few games on TV, but it's still fun to watch him because I'm like, oh, he's up. He's going to drill it right in the middle.
What team is he on again?
Madison Bumgarner is a pitcher for the Giants, San Francisco Giants. And I like that choice. He is a fun pitcher to watch. And what I like most about him is that he is extremely clutch. He really, really, really shows up in the playoffs in the World Series. And the Giants have, since 2010, they won the World Series in 2010, 2012, and 2014, all the even years. And now it's 2016. So a lot of people are thinking they're going to win again this year. I don't think they are. But if they do, Madison Bumgarner is a major weapon for them in the postseason. He comes through when it really, really matters.
He stays he stays so focused too. When most people like break down like, oh, we're gonna lose, and they panic, and then they're not focused. He like stays really focused and knows how to keeps his
cool. Yeah, he's also a really good hitter for a pitcher, which I always like that when pitchers can hit the ball too. It shows that they're athletes.
Yeah.
Jett, you don't really know Madison Bumgarner. Do you have any thoughts on him?
Not really, no, because I don't really know who he is.
Okay, that's no problem. Charge! You guys were supposed to help me out with that.
Charge.
Yeah, good job. Okay, Jett, do you want to go next or you want me to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay, Jett, who is your...
Number 5.
Yu Darvish.
Yu Darvish, another pitcher. Okay. How come?
It's because like when he like does a good pitch, everybody screams you.
Yeah, I like that too. I've always liked players especially when you're at a game, but when you're watching it too, whose names have that sound in it, because if you don't, like, if you're a casual fan who, like, let's say we're watching the Rangers game on the TV in the living room and your Aunt Sissy walks in and she hears the crowd going, you, she might think they're actually saying boo, right? Because a lot of people boo at games and it sounds like it. So it makes me feel like I'm like on the inside, like I've got some secret knowledge because I know that they're saying you, and it is fun to do at the game. So we went to a game earlier this year when the Rangers played who'd they play against?
Seattle Mariners.
It was the Mariners, you're right. And it was Yu Darvish. He'd just come back from his injury. I think it was his second game back, and he had a great game, right? And the Rangers ended up winning that game, and it was really fun because we got to see him come back, and he had a really good game, and we got to shout,
you! Right when that happened, I didn't know at first why they were saying that. I thought they were playing Soulja Boy, like the one-hit
yeah,
one.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't hear it playing.
Can you sing that song for us?
I don't know really the lyrics anymore.
You know one word?
You.
Can you sing that one word?
You.
Okay, can you sing me some Phil Collins?
What?
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. I don't know what that was.
Okay, good job. I like that song at the one part when, like, because it's kind of a slow song, and then it gets to the part where it goes bum 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 bum. Yeah, that part is.
What
cool.
is that song?
But the pain still grows. Some strangers to you and me.
It's called "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins.
Who's Phil Collins?
He was a singer in a band called Genesis in the 80s, and then he went solo and had a solo career and had some very popular songs in the 80s and maybe early 90s. That's one of his most famous songs. All right, so Yu Darvish, he's an interesting pitcher. First of all, we should all disclaimer: we're all big Texas Ranger fans, so we're all gonna like Yu Darvish. He came into the league a couple of years ago, and his stuff, when I say what stuff means with a pitcher, his stuff was phenomenal. It tricked batters. Nobody could figure out how to hit him. He was really, really good, and on the upward trend to really having a great career. He got injured. I think he had Tommy John surgery, if I remember correctly, which is Tommy John was a pitcher, and it's an elbow surgery where you have, I think it's ligaments or cartilage or something, a tendon, maybe that's what it is, in your elbow area that's surgically implanted in there from another area of your body, and it takes a long time to recover, and it's like a major medical miracle that it works, but it does. Tommy John was the first one to get it, and he's been back, and he's been hurt a couple times since he came back. If he can stay healthy, has a ton of potential. I love Yu Darvish. I'm really rooting for the guy. So I like your pick, Jett. Any other thoughts on Yu Darvish, Kade?
He was one of my honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Jett, any other reason you like Yu Darvish outside of the you?
Not really.
Okay, well, that's fine. This is, before I get into mine, and this is a good point, this is not the 5 best players in baseball. This is our 5 favorite players, and there's a difference, right? So the problem for me is that a lot of times they overlap because I tend to like the players that are really good. I tried not to just pick the 5 best players though, and pick guys that I really like. So my number 5 also plays for the San Francisco Giants, Kade, but it is not Madison Bumgarner. It's their catcher, Buster Posey. You guys know who Buster Posey is?
I know who Buster Posey is. I like him.
I've always had a soft spot for catchers. I've always liked catchers, partially because I was a catcher for a long time when I played baseball growing up. I really liked Pudge, Ivan Rodriguez for the Rangers. Johnny Bench, who's probably the best catcher of all time, has always been one of my favorite players. Buster is my favorite current catcher in the game. He is easily, in my opinion, the best offensive catcher in today's game. Hits over 300 every year, hits between 20 and 35 home runs a year, gets over 100 RBIs every year. He's great. Yadier Molina is a catcher for the Cardinals. He's probably a better defensive catcher, but let's face it, offense is sexier than defense, and Buster plays enough good catcher defensively with the sexy offense. So I think he's awesome. He's also clutch. He's come through big time in those playoffs and the World Series that the Giants have won. And, you guys, we went to a Giants game out in San Francisco when we went to visit, and my buddy, Faham, works for the Giants, and he gets us all sorts of cool swag and gear. He sent me some Will Clark stuff recently in the mail.
That was really cool.
Really cool stuff, yeah.
It's on the wall right
It is.
there.
You're right. It's like 2 feet from me right now, hanging on my wall, an autographed sign. So yeah, thanks Faham for that. That was awesome. Also about Buster Posey, another reason I like him, he's a very likable guy. He does commercials. He's very funny in those commercials.
I've seen him on a commercial.
He does that Esurance commercial where
Yes.
he's like the sort of doctor.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one? Yeah. It's funny. He's got a great personality on top of being a really good baseball player. You got anything to say about Buster Posey, Jett?
I like his name a lot.
This might seem
It's a cool
weird.
name.
I don't know who Buster Posey is.
Really?
Well, that's fine. He's got his real name isn't Buster. It's like Gerald or something lame.
Yeah,
but Buster sounds
Buster,
cool.
yeah.
Jett, do you like any catchers in baseball?
I only know a few, honestly. I know Bobby Wilson, and
Yeah, he's the Rangers' backup catcher.
that's really it.
Bobby Wilson's likable too, though. I like Bobby Wilson. He's been demoted because we recently got a new catcher. The Rangers did, Jonathan Lucroy.
Isn't he good?
He's very good. Robinson Chirinos was our starter. Lucroy replaced him. Bobby Wilson's been demoted. But yeah, I like him too. And he hit a big grand slam that we got to see on TV. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think I do, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, so I guess that'll wrap up my number 5 with Buster Posey. Jett, are you ready to do your...
Number 4.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
It's
Cade,
mine. It's mine.
are you ready to
Number
do...
4.
Yes, I am.
All right, well, let's hear your...
Number 4.
Okay, my number 4 is Mike Trout, and I know that you don't like Mike Trout, but
I don't
I've seen him
either.
on YouTube, and he looks phenomenal. Like,
He is phenomenal. He is phenomenal. Have you ever heard the term 5-tool player?
yeah, I think I have.
5-tool player, there's basically 5 aspects in baseball, basic aspects, that if you can master them, you can become a very good baseball player. So there are very few true 5-tool players out there, okay? The 5 tools are hitting for power, which means you can hit home runs, right? Hitting for batting average, which means you can just get base hits. If you could get both of those, you'll be a really good hitter. You have some guys who are great at getting on base, like Ichiro Suzuki, who he hits for great average and he gets a lot of base hits, but he doesn't have a lot of power. Then you have guys who are great power hitters, like Mark McGwire, but strike out a lot or don't get on base a lot, so they can't do both. If you can hit for power, hit for average, you have speed, so you can get down to first base quickly. You can steal bases when you be a dangerous runner when you're on the bases, and speed on the field to get to balls. If you're good at fielding and you're good at throwing, those are the 5 tools. There are very few players who are true 5-tool players. Mike Trout is one of them. He might be the premier 5-tool player in today's game. If I was doing a list of the best 5 baseball players, he would be on it for sure, and probably number 2 for me on that list, with number 1 being Clayton Kershaw, who's just dominant. Yeah. But you're right. I don't really like the guy.
It's because he's on the Angels.
That is a reason. And I will say, as part of our podcast, we do the worst, and I considered him for the worst. I didn't pick him for the worst. He's grown on me a little bit. I don't have a good reason not to like the guy outside of the fact that he's really good and I don't want him to be because he plays for the Angels. And I will say this. There's a stat in baseball that's called WAR, W-A-R, wins above replacement. And it's kind of a new stat that statisticians and baseball fans use to gauge how good a player is. It takes all of their offensive statistics and defensive statistics and lumps it into this one number, and it really favors some things over others. So we used to look at home runs and batting average and RBIs, and if you did all 3 of those really well, you were a really good hitter. Now, WAR takes those into account, but also takes on-base percentage and slugging percentage and all these other factors that didn't really matter as much before, and puts them into one number. And Mike Trout wins in that WAR category almost every year. Now, this year, for example, he is leading the American League in WAR, but when I look at the statistics, Jose Altuve is having a better year to me. He's hitting for a much higher batting average. He has about the same amount of home runs. RBIs are close. I think Altuve is leading a little bit. He's got a higher on-base percentage. He has more stolen bases. I can't figure out what Mike Trout has done that's giving him a higher WAR. Now, he's having a great year, but how is it better than Altuve's? I don't know. And I feel that way every year about Mike Trout, and that's another reason why I don't like him. It's not because he's not good. He is great, but I feel like the people that are using WAR automatically assume he's the best. Yeah. When if you look at all the statistics separately, I mean, you could make the argument that he is, but you really have to favor it's like, I don't think he does it on purpose, but it's like he knows what those categories are and he excels at them somehow. And that gets on my nerves. It's like, you can't just look at one number and say, yeah, this guy's the best. You have to look at the big picture.
I see what you mean.
But that being said, I can respect your choice. He is awesome. He is an awesome fielder. He is great in the center field. He makes highlight reel catches out there. He hits the ball. He's clutch. He hits home runs. He steals bases. He does everything. He's a great, great, great player.
I saw one of his catches, and I was watching People Are Awesome videos on YouTube, showing clips of people doing amazing things, and I watched a sports edition, and it showed Mike Trout on there, and he hit this amazing catch. It was phenomenal.
Is it the one where he jumped up and was reaching over the wall like this?
Yes.
Yeah, he made that catch last year. I've got actually stay right where you are.
Let me see.
Was it this catch?
Yes, and another one where he dove. He dove probably 8 feet and caught it on the tip. It was insane.
Well, the catch over the wall, the one that I just showed Kade a baseball card for the listeners out there. It made every Topps baseball card and other brands because it was a serious highlight reel catch last year. Jett, you got any thoughts on Mike Trout?
Angels suck.
The Angels do suck. Heck yeah, give me a high five on that. Kade, anything else on Mike Trout?
No, not really.
I like it when he strikes out, I say go fish because his last name's Trout. So I do like to be able to do that with him. All right, Jett, I guess that leaves you. What is your...
Number 4.
Alright, I spelled it wrong. It's Shin Soo Choo or
Shin Soo Choo, another Texas
But I
Ranger.
put Choo Sin Choo.
Well, that's fine. His name is a little bit confusing, but can you tell us why you like Shin Soo Choo?
Because I think when I watched him on our last Rangers game I think he was really good in that game. I remember he catched a lot of balls and I'm pretty caught and he hit pretty far.
Yeah, so he plays right field for the Texas Rangers. Mike Trout's a center fielder, by the way, if we didn't make that clear. Shin Soo Choo is a right fielder for the Rangers. He played for the Reds before he came to the Rangers. And he has flashes of brilliance. Like last year when the Rangers made their playoff run in August and through September, he was our best player. And he was critical in our success of taking the lead in the division and holding off the Astros at the end of the year, getting into the playoffs.
Wasn't his batting average really good at that time?
It was over 400 for the month of September, which is awesome. He was huge and he was clutch. His hits came in big time moments when we needed them. I sometimes complain about him as a right fielder because I feel like he gives up on balls a little too easy. He doesn't lay out for a ball, but he's been hurt, and maybe that's why he's been out a lot this year. I'm happy he's back. I really like Shin Soo Choo. And that's another one where you get to say "choo" at the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get confused to say you or chew.
Yeah, well, if it's because it was a pitching moment, it was you. If it was a hitting or fielding moment, it was Choo.
Yeah, true.
Okay, do you got any thoughts on Shin Soo Choo?
Soo Choo train? Soo Choo!
Nice. I think you should start that at the games and see if it catches on.
Oh, yeah.
The Soo Choo train. I like it. All right, are we ready to move on to my...
Number 4.
Yes.
Okay, number 4, I have Jake Arrieta. You guys know who Jake Arrieta is?
I do. know
Of course I do.
Okay, so for our listeners, he's a pitcher for the Cubs. He's awesome. He is really, really good. His second half of last year was one of the best halves of a season that any pitcher has ever had in the history of the game. He was that dominant. He carried that into the beginning of 2016. And he threw a no-hitter last year. He threw another no-hitter at the beginning of this year, and it looked like he was going to keep just dominating. He's fallen off course a little bit throughout the season. He's become human again or mortal or whatever you want to call it. He's still having a very good year. And really, with Clayton Kershaw, who got hurt this year, Arrieta can win a second Cy Young in a row if he can continue to improve or get back into his groove where he was. He plays for the Cubs. The Cubs are my favorite team right now that's not the Texas Rangers. They're having an amazing season. I would love to see them and the Rangers meet up in the World Series. How awesome would that be? And he's a big part of their success.
That would be a tough battle.
It would be. The Cubs have been amazing this year.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really good.
I put him as an honorable mention. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about putting him on my list.
Yeah, all these lists are tough. I mean...
Especially this one. I had a lot of choices where I was like... should I put this one? Like I said, I was having trouble choosing my number 5 because I had so many. I chose my top 4 now. What's my number 5 going to be?
Yeah. I had a tough time too, but, you can't go wrong, and you're going to have a couple honorable mentions that you get to at least bring up their name. Yeah, so he's also from Plano. Did you guys know that? He went to high school in Plano. Yeah, he went to Plano East, which is the crappy school in Plano, because I went to Plano Senior High, and they're our rivals. But I can forgive him for that. And what I also really like about Jake Arrieta is he got good at age 29, which isn't young for baseball. He had several years where he pitched for the Orioles, and then when he first came to the Cubs, where he was pretty mediocre. He wasn't a great pitcher, but he worked really, really hard. He's in phenomenal shape now. He's a workout junkie, like your mom. I mean, he works out constantly. He's in phenomenal shape.
He's ripped.
He is ripped.
Wasn't there like a commercial about him? Like it was like an ad or something about him, or
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, he's also in that ESPN magazine, The Body Issue. That's probably what you're talking about, where they take pictures of the athletes with no clothes on.
oh yeah. That was when my mom freaked out.
Yeah, mom freaked out. He is ripped. He's so in shape, and what I like about it is that he worked really hard, and he showed that it's never too late. He had a couple of mediocre years, then at age 29, kicked it into high gear and is now dominant. I like that, and also mom's in love with him.
Yeah,
He's got a good beard too.
I
Your
like yours
beard's better.
You like mine better?
It looks nicer.
Oh, thanks, guys. That's nice.
I always thought your beard looked like Obi-Wan's.
It does look a little bit like Obi. Why do you think I'm always Obi-Wan for Halloween? I've got half the costume done already.
Yeah.
All right. So, any other thoughts on Jake Arrieta?
Nope.
Okay. So, Kade, let's move on to
Number 3.
My number 3 is Andrew McCutcheon.
Kutch, the
Kutch.
Pirates. He's a center fielder for the Pirates.
I don't know much about the Pirates. I don't know much players for the Pirates, but I know him, and I've seen a lot of him on YouTube and stuff. And
Yeah.
more people are awesome videos. I see him in there.
Yeah, Kutch is a really good choice. I love Kutch. I think he is a bona fide superstar. I think he's on the tail end of his career. He started to come down a bit this year, where he's not at that same superstar status where he has been for like the past 5 or 6 or 7 years. But he's still really good, and I think he's still got some really good years left in him. The Pirates are an interesting team. They were the worst team in baseball for a while. And in fact, when I was a student at Penn State, we did a business case study as our thesis for our master's, where we spent a week with the Pirates. I got to go to their baseball stadium every day. We did analysis with the Pirates organization there with us, and we gave them recommendations. And this is the part I didn't like about it. They really treated the Pirates as a business, and that's the reality. It's not, I mean, they're not in it for the glory of the game. They're in it to make money.
Yeah.
Not the players, but, well, the players are too, most of them, not all of them. But I'm talking about the guys who ran the organization. They didn't care if the Pirates were winning or losing so much as long as they were making money. So they would have a player that got really good, and then they trade him away because they didn't want to sign him to a big contract, because they didn't have enough fans coming to the games to afford it. And something happened. I don't know what it was, but they got the right mix of players, Kutch being the most important of those, along with some pitching and a few other. I mean, they have a phenomenal outfield, all three of them, Polanco and Starling Marte. They're all really good. And Kutch was the superstar of that team. And then the Pirates got really good, and they started making the playoffs and winning 100 games a year. They've fallen off a bit this year, but yeah, he's a big part of that. I love Kutch.
He's kind of trendy, too. Like, he dabs sometimes when
Does
he makes
he?
good plays, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we saw, that sports show you watch, Sports Center.
Sports Center, yeah.
I think he had like a really good play. You remember that awesome catch he had? Was that McCutcheon?
I can't remember. I don't know. It might have been. It probably was. He's a great fielder. I mean, he is a bona fide superstar. He's another 5-tool player. Not as good as Mike Trout, but close. And I do like him more than Mike Trout for sure.
I do, too.
Cool. Good choice, Kade. All right, Jett. Let's move on to your
Number 3.
Ian Desmond.
another Ranger. I like it.
I think my whole list is Rangers.
It seems like that so far, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yep.
I could have done that too. I made an effort not to. So that's why I don't have a whole lot of Rangers
I
on my
had
list.
a lot of Rangers on my list, but then I decided, well, I don't want my entire list to be Rangers, so.
Yeah.
I think Ian Desmond is getting better and better each game he's in.
He is having a really, really good year. He is on the Rangers this year for the first year. He played for the Washington Nationals before that, and he's our center fielder.
He's really good at hitting.
He's batting over 300 for the year. He went to the All-Star game. He came in when our outfield was kind of decimated. We had Shin-Soo Choo got injured and he was out. Delino DeShields got injured and then got sent down to the minor leagues. Josh Hamilton's been out all year. That's our outfield. That's our starting outfield. So we brought in Nomar Mazara, who's a rookie for the Rangers.
He's good.
Having a great year. Ian Desmond came over from the Nationals. He was a shortstop. We moved him out to outfield. He's been great out there. We've had Ryan Rua and others rotating in left field, and they've really come together and held this team together despite the injuries. And Ian Desmond's been the best out of all. He's probably been the best player this year for the Rangers, maybe outside of Cole Hamels. He's been very, very good. And Mom loves him too.
Yeah, I've heard her talk about him.
Yeah. Jett, you got any other thoughts on Ian Desmond?
Nope.
You just like him because he's good and he's a Ranger?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Oh, he's an honorable mention for me too. Another one.
An honorable mention for you?
How much honorable mentions do you have?
Not a lot, but y'all have named the ones I have.
I don't.
Not all of it.
I don't have any.
I tried to only keep my list to 2. I could have had like 50 on this category because I'm a huge baseball fan, but I only put 2 on mine. All right, time for my... Oops, I did that a little early.
Number 3.
Time for my number 3. I have Jose Altuve. You guys know who Jose Altuve is?
Yes.
Okay, he's second baseman for the Houston Astros. He's a Venezuelan-born player. He's very short. Jett, do you not...
Like me.
Like you.
I don't recognize him.
Okay, so Altuve plays for the Astros, and I kind of hate all the Houston teams.
Is it that? Was he in that really long game, like 19 innings? That game.
Was that the Astros? I can't...
I'm pretty sure it was, but maybe it was the Orioles or Astros. And like I saw his picture, he was like doing so well. He did like he had so much strikes in that game.
Okay, well, he's not a pitcher, so he's a second baseman. So you must have been thinking of somebody else. But I hate all Houston teams. I should just put that out there. I always have. I should hate the Astros the most since they're now divisional rivals with the Rangers, but I don't hate them like I should. And Altuve is the reason I don't. I just like the guy. He's really, really good. He's an old school player. And what I mean by that is he hits for a really high average. In fact, this year he's currently hitting 365. I mean, he's leading.
That's good.
It's really good. He's leading the majors in hitting at 365. He gets on base a lot, and he steals a lot of bases, which I really like. He reminds me of old school players like Ricky Henderson and Vince Coleman. You guys don't know him. You know Ricky Henderson, though.
I do.
Tim Raines. I loved those guys when I was a kid because they were a pest. They would bother pitchers when they're batting because they get on base a lot, and then they bother pitchers when they're on base because they're disrupting the game. They're stealing bases. They're almost stealing bases. The pitcher has to worry so much about them on the base that they don't
Not
focus on the batter.
Striking him out.
Yeah, and he is disruptive to the game. He's a pest, and I love that. Also, I mentioned he's a little guy. He's 5'6" tall, which is really short for a professional athlete. And in the past, I didn't necessarily root for little guys or dislike little guys. I really root for them now because of you guys. I mean, you guys are little guys.
Yay!
And I think it's awesome when a non-prototypical guy, a guy that's not 6'4" and 225, can have success at the highest level of a very competitive game. And he's the perfect example of that in baseball. He's the shortest player in baseball since 1981.
Who was that?
I don't even know. And that's the point. He's the shortest player since then, and he's really, really good. He's one of the best players in the game today, and I love that about him. He's on track to be a future Hall of Famer, and I'm rooting for him to keep that up. Jett, you got any? You don't know Altuve, so I guess you don't have any thoughts on him. Do you have any thoughts on short people?
Simone Biles.
There's a basketball.
Simone Biles, yeah.
There's a basketball person I know that's really short.
Muggsy Bogues or Spud Webb.
Spud
Yeah,
Webb.
that's like really short compared to Shaq.
Yeah, so Spud Webb was a really cool one in basketball because he won a slam dunk contest, and he was like 5'6". I think he was the same height as Jose Altuve. And basketball, even more than baseball, you should be really tall.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Muggsy Bogues, I think, was 5'3". He was a basketball player.
He was like the shortest of all time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I don't know if he could dunk. He wasn't Spud Webb, that's for sure.
Spud Webb must have had strong legs to
he
be
had
able
some
to.
major ups. If you watch the slam dunk contest he won, it's crazy. Like because his feet are so far off the ground because he has to get up so
he has
high.
to get so high.
It's really cool. What about like other short people? What about like Oompa Loompas? Do you like them, Jett?
Oompa Loompas.
Oh,
From
speaking
Willy
of
Wonka,
Oompa-
the
What's-
short little orange guys with green hair.
What's Willy Wonka?
Oh my
Wonka.
gosh! Where have you been?
Speaking of Oompa Loompas, we got in trouble for singing the song at school. We were at lunch and we were banging our fists on the table and singing the song.
Well, how does the song go?
It was a while ago. It was
Oompa Loompa Doopity Doo.
Yeah.
That song?
That was
What
it.
is that?
Have you
Have you not seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
How have you never seen that?
The golden ticket. The boy gets a
Oh
golden
yeah,
ticket.
yeah. Oh wait,
I got the
no.
golden ticket.
I think
The
I've
girl
heard
gets,
of.
like, the
I think
infinite
I've
flavor
heard.
gum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard of the book when my classmates read it for this project we were doing.
Well, they remade it. I don't know how many years ago. Johnny Depp was it, and they called it Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh yeah, that I've heard of the book, but I haven't seen like a TV show or anything.
We used to watch that movie in school.
Yeah, do you not watch it in school at all? I watch it. We watch it all the time at school.
No.
Man, that's crazy. You need to watch that movie. That is like, even if you only watch it once, it's a movie you need to see at some point in your life.
I have yet to see The Wizard of Oz, and people still make fun of me for it. So.
That's another one you have to see. All right, Jett, what about other short people? What about, you like Ewoks?
Ewoks.
Jawas.
Jawas?
Here's one that I hate. Those ones that talk. Me and Dad
Ugnaughts.
were talking about this earlier. Yeah, they talk so
I
annoying.
love Ugnaughts.
Let's hear your Ugnaught impersonation. That's actually pretty good. That is what they sound like. I'll have to show you later, Kate. I took a screenshot because I was playing the Old Republic today, and I had to fight some Ugnaughts, and I had to kill one, and he was like laying down, and his face was. I took a screenshot of it. I'll show you later.
And also, I've changed my favorite video game to Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm in that phase.
You've been playing that and update. We should do this right now, I guess, while we're updating.
Yeah.
You also love Pokemon now. After
Oh
last
yeah,
episode,
I love
Oh my
Pokemon.
not just the game, but the show and the cards and everything about it, and you're a mega fan. After just declaring your absolute hate for it on our last episode.
So it happened when I was at my cousin's house with him, and me and him are fans of Pokemon, and we got into it, and we started playing it, the game, Pokemon Go, of course, and it's really fun. And we started watching the shows too because we were just getting into it, and so Jett was like, "This is so stupid." And he goes to bed, wakes up next day, he goes, "Man, I'm gonna download Pokemon Go. You guys want to watch more of the series tonight?" And I'm
Yeah, because your mom went on vacation to the
I know
Bahamas.
the whole theme song.
Let's hear it.
No.
I want to be
the very best
that no one ever was.
Dun, 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 dun.
To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. I know it's my destiny, Pokemon. Oh, you're my best friend in a world we must defend. Pokemon, a heart so true. Our courage will pull us through. You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon.
That was fantastic. I sang the part that I like. Kade, you perform this in public in front of
A lot of people.
strangers often. Like, we were eating dinner at a local restaurant, and you went up to random people and asked if you could sing and dance for them, and some of them said yes. And you performed your dance routine to this song, which is, I gotta say, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, good job, guys. Now we got our update out of the way. Jett has done a total 180 on Pokemon, and he loves the Old Republic as his favorite video game now. Can we move on? What did we do last? Who went last? Jett, did you do your number 2 yet?
No.
Wait, I haven't even done my number.
Jett, did you do your... I just did Jose Altuve. We were talking short people, so I just did my number 3, Jose Altuve.
So I should do my 2 now.
Yeah, so before you do your number 2, you should probably go to the restroom because that's where I like to do my number 2s.
Mine might become my number 3.
I don't even want to know what that means. Kade, let's hear your...
Number 2.
My number two is Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
I love Chris Bryant. He's awesome.
I love Chris Bryant too. He's my number 1. I'll just get it out of the way.
Okay. Yeah, he's so fun to watch. I love watching him. He's amazing. That's really all I have to say to him. He's just amazing.
He is amazing. I'll go ahead and talk about him now since he's my number 1. Okay, so I'm a super fan of baseball now. I took a break from being a super fan for a long time where I was more of a casual fan. I would watch games here and there, and I'd keep up with the news, but I wasn't like all into it.
Yeah.
Last year, I became a super fan again, and when I got into the mode of being a super fan, it was Chris Bryant's rookie campaign where he was blazing a trail as toward his Rookie of the Year award, which he ended up winning in a landslide in the National League. And that's exciting when you see a new player who's in the league and they're coming into their own. And he hit, I think, 30 or close to 30 home runs last year, which is really good for a rookie year. He struck out a lot. He did some things wrong, but really good for a rookie. And I also got back into collecting baseball cards last year, and he was the hottest player on the market for collecting cards. So that was fun for me. But I wasn't ready to say he's my favorite player yet, because when they're rookies, they could end up being horrible soon, right? So I decided I'm just going to wait on my excitement, even though I really like the guy. So I've given in. I love Kris Bryant now. His second year has been very, very good. He's on pace for 39 home runs this year, which is a really good any year, but especially for your second year. His home runs are pretty when he hits them. They're moonshots. They go way up in the air, and they go far.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit them 500 feet like Giancarlo Stanton or some of these other guys do, but they look like it because he hits them so high. They're just really pretty. He's got a pretty swing. It's pretty home runs.
Very clean.
Very clean, good swing. He's actually leading the National League in WAR right now, which I talked to you guys about earlier. He's on pace to win the MVP this year for the National League, which is awesome. Now, that being said, there aren't any huge, clear favorites in the National League this year. In the American League, you have a couple standout. Jose Altuve is one of them, and Mike Trout's up there too. But National League, you don't have those clear cut, these guys are just killing it. But he's been the best in the National League so far this year. And that's really cool for your second year, coming off of your Rookie Year of the Year campaign. I love that about him.
I also like his name too. Kris Bryant, I like that, how it sounds, and it's spelled Kris. And
Yeah.
I like stuff. First of all, I like stuff starts with K because my name starts with a K, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I'm weird.
Kade.
Yeah, I like weird things. So.
You are very weird. I'll give you that. So he's still got enough of the up and coming feel because he's a young player, mixed with some on the field success, enough to for me to say, yeah, he's my favorite now. I root for him more than any other player in baseball. I give him serious fan love, and he's also a handsome dude, which helps. It adds to his overall appeal. He's a good looking guy. Jett, you got any thoughts on Kris Bryant?
I haven't seen him on TV once, so not really know.
Do you know what team he plays for?
Cubs.
Yeah, he's with the Cubs. You're right. All right. So Kris Bryant's your number 2. Cade, he's my number 1. So, Jett, let's go on to your...
Number 2.
Number 2.
Called it. And my number 2 is Rugi Odor.
Rugi!
I like him 50% of why I like him is because when he punched Batista in the face, and I hate Batista.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. So I have Rougned Odor as an honorable mention for me. He's a very young player. I think he's 23.
I like his beard.
Yeah, his beard's cool.
He has a cool beard. He plays second base like Altuve. The league is actually flooded with really good second basemen right now, to where Odor he's further down on the list, which makes you think he's not that good. But really, the fact is the American League has a lot of great second basemen. And he's very young, and he's already pretty good. He's got, I think, 23, 24 home runs so far this year. He'll probably end up around 35 or so, 33 to 35. That's a really good year for a second baseman, and especially somebody as young as him. So he can hit for power. He's a good fielder. He turns a lot of double plays with Elvis Andrus, our shortstop for the Texas Rangers. And he is, let's face it, I mean, the reason most people know Rougned Odor is because he clocked Jose Bautista in the jaw in one of the coolest baseball fights I've ever seen. Now, I've
seen it played in slow motion over and over again, and the movement of his jaw and the upper part of his head is so weird.
Yeah.
It's a dirty punch. It was.
I don't condone violence, even in sports, when sometimes you really, like Jett said, I hate Jose Bautista. You feel like these really strong, passionate feelings for the guys you like and the ones you don't like. Even then, I don't like it when pitchers beat other batters. I don't like it when they get in brawls. But I got to say, if they're going to get in a fight, and they did, it was really gratifying to see Rougned Odor. He clocked Jose Bautista so hard. The dude's glasses flew off his face. I'm surprised he didn't crumble into a ball. I mean, he took that punch pretty well because it was a great punch.
He was kind of wobbly, though, after
he was a little wobbly, and Adrian Beltre kind of saved his life because Beltre came over there and held him so he couldn't fight anybody else.
Speaking of Adrian Beltre, he's my number 1.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Hold on. So, so that fight was awesome, and it was just it was fun to see, because the thing with like Bautista, I don't want to say he deserved it, because like I said, I don't condone it, but he's kind of a jerk. Like he just comes across that way.
So you do like a lot of bat flips.
He does bat flips. He did the big one against the Rangers in the playoffs last year. He's just an arrogant, kind of cocky jerk.
Arrogant.
And he took a dirty slide against Rougned Odor that started the fight. It might have happened anyways because the Rangers and the Blue Jays don't get along, but it was he slid dirty into second base, and Rougned took exception to that, pushed him, they got in a fight, and then he clocked him, and it was a thing of beauty.
Like Nolan Ryan's, I love Rougned Odor, that punch, but I kind of like Nolan Ryan's better.
The Nolan Ryan fight was probably better
because
on the whole.
He got him in a headlock, and then he just went boom.
Kade, have you seen that one?
I think I have.
Robin Ventura played for the White Sox, got plunked by Nolan Ryan when he played for the
Nolan
Rangers.
Ryan was like 40.
Yeah, he was over 40, and Robin Ventura charges the mound, who's a young guy. Nolan takes him in a headlock and just starts pounding him. And they go to the ground, and then everybody comes out. Bo Jackson was at that game because he played for the White Sox back
I would
then.
not get in a fight with Bo Jackson.
Oh no, he would destroy anybody on that field. But that's probably the most famous brawl of all time. I think when 20 years we look back on it, this Rougned Odor punch is going to be up there as one of the most famous, just because you don't see punches like that in a baseball game. Not even in a boxing match do you see punches that are that great, especially if you watch Floyd Mayweather. You don't see any punches.
Yeah, all you see is backing up.
Right.
So
I had him as an honorable mention, Jett.
Speaking of Texas Rangers, I would put Prince Fielder on the list, but he recently can't play baseball anymore because he broke his neck like how long ago? I don't know, maybe a year or two.
So you're kind of right. He didn't break his neck. He has an injury in his neck. He had neck surgery. It kept him out for a whole season. Came back last year. Was comeback player of the year last year. Had a great year. And this year he's not been great, and he hurt his neck again. And his doctor said you can't play anymore, which is very unfortunate. So, but I would say it's okay to put him on your list because he hasn't retired yet.
His contract is...
I know, but he technically isn't going to play baseball anymore.
So are you saying you have him as an honorable mention?
Yeah, I didn't put any honorable mentions on my list, but I just thought of it right now.
I put him as an honorable mention.
So one thing I like a lot of things about Prince Fielder, but one thing I thought was really cool was his father played in the majors also. His name was Cecil Fielder. He played when I was a kid. And Cecil Fielder, to me, he was also a big guy like Prince.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always remember about him is he was the first player that hit over 50 home runs in one season in a very long time. Several players have come close. Mark McGwire hit 49 his rookie year. Andre Dawson hit 49. Nobody hit 50 in a long time. I think that happened in the early 90s when Cecil Fielder did it. I think the last person before that was in the 60s. I don't think... Maybe somebody did it in the 70s. Maybe Reggie Jackson, but I don't think so. I think it had been since Willie Mays or somebody hit 50 home runs. It had been a long time. So that's why I always remembered Cecil Fielder. Cecil Fielder retired with 319 career home runs. Prince Fielder, as of right now, has 319 career home runs. They have the same amount, which I thought was kind of a cool, interesting fact that father and son hit the same amount. They are actually number 3 on the all-time list for father and son combination total home runs.
Ooh,
so 319 plus 319 is what? 638?
What about Ken Griffey Jr. and...
Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr.? They're number 2 because Ken Griffey Jr. has over 630 by himself, which is already Prince and Cecil combined. The number 1 combo is Barry and Bobby Bonds. Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds.
How many did Bobby Bonds have?
I think he was in the 300s, and Barry Bonds had 755.
But I'm pretty sure Barry Bonds used steroids, though.
Oh, for sure, yeah. He wasn't clean like Ken Griffey Jr. was.
Yeah.
We'll save Ken Griffey for another countdown. All right, so Rougned Odor, you're number 2. He's my honorable mention. Huh?
Let's go to number 1.
I have to give you my number 2 first.
My
number 1 was Chris Bryant, which was Cade's number 2. My number 2 is Adrian Beltre, which is going to roll into your number 1, so we can talk about him now.
Which is also my number 1.
Okay, so Adrian Beltre, my number 2, both of Kade and Jett's number 1.
I like Adrian Beltre more than you, Kade. That's
you
what I think.
You probably do. because you're a bigger fan of baseball than me, but I still really like him a lot.
You can't be a Rangers fan and not love Adrian Beltre.
And you know what's crazy is that it was showing his RBIs, and he recently just passed Mickey Mantle's.
Yeah, crazy, right? Mickey Mantle is one of the all-time greats, and AB just passed him on the all-time list. That is pretty crazy. Let's go ahead and get the check marks out on how he's a great player. He's approaching 3,000 hits, which is a major milestone. There's nobody that has 3,000 hits that's not in the Hall of Fame except for Pete Rose because he got kicked out of baseball.
Yeah.
He's approaching 500 home runs, which is another huge milestone. There are some guys with 500 that aren't in, but mostly because of steroids. Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, those guys. If he gets both of those milestones, he's in a very, very small club of players with 3,000 hits and 5,000 milestones. We just talked about his RBIs. I think he's over 1,800 for his career. Only 2 players have 2,000, Hank Aaron and Alex Rodriguez. So that's another major, major milestone for him. And he's a wizard, an absolute wizard at third base with a glove.
Oh my God, he's so fast.
He's so good. He has a cannon for an arm. He's been one of the best defensive third basemen for his entire career, not to mention his offense is awesome. Now, he kind of gets overshadowed because he played during an era where A-Rod was killing it. When Beltre was in the National League before he came to the Rangers, he finished second in the MVP voting one year to Barry Bonds, who had one of the all-time greatest years ever, but he was cheating, right? So it's tough to say, like, without the steroid users and the PED guys, how high up on the charts Beltre would rank, but he gets overshadowed by those guys a little bit. But he retires today, he's a for sure Hall of Famer, and he's still got a couple good years left in him.
He retired?
No, I'm saying if he retired today, he's a Hall of Famer, but he still has a couple good years left in him. So those are the check marks for, like, he's a good player. Now let's get on to why he's our favorite though.
He's one of my favorites because he's the best sport I know in baseball for sure.
Yeah, I agree. He's a good sport, and it's funny because he almost plays a character on the field. He plays in a couple different ways. He can be like over the top, like when he gets a call that he doesn't like at the plate, his reaction to the umpire is like overly dramatic. Like he'll turn and look at him real fast and like, "Are you crazy?" And it's like you believe him because he does it so well, but it's also a joke and you know it. And those are the best kind of jokes where you don't have to explain that it's a joke and you just get it. He does that really well. He even does it when he swings. And this is just part of his character. He swings so freaking hard that he falls down. I've seen him hit home runs on one knee because he swung so hard that he fell down to one knee and it still went over the wall. His character, like on the field, have you seen him with Elvis Andrews?
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty funny.
They joke around all the time, and it's like Elvis is like, he plays the role of like the annoying younger brother type who's always messing with him, and AB is like the older brother that's like, you better cut that out or I'm going to beat you up, right? And he does it perfectly because you really think he's mad sometimes, even though like he's having so much fun.
Yeah.
And he hates getting his head touched. Have you seen that? Like he'll hit a home run and he'll come back into the dugout and people are giving him high five and then Elvis will come up behind him and touch him on the head and he freaks out. He like turns around and throws his glove at him and he's like angry and you really believe that he's mad because of his face, but inside like he's a big kid at heart too, just like the rest of these guys. He makes it fun to watch.
Exactly, you're exactly right.
That's why he's my favorite.
And he's really good, right? And he's on our team and yeah, universally loved.
Overall, baseball players, not current. He's my second favorite
Out of all time,
mm-hmm.
But he's your number one current.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. I'm glad he made all 3 of our lists. Number 2 for me, behind Chris Bryant, but a great guy. All right, so we all got through our
top 5.
Number 1.
Because I forgot to play that earlier.
Yeah.
Why don't we move on to our
worst?
Honorable mention.
Oh, do we do worst first, or do we do honorable mention?
We do honorable mentions first.
Yeah, let's do our.
We went through all of our.
mention.
You guys went through all of my honorable mentions.
So we covered yours. Jet, you said you don't have any.
Yeah, but Prince Fielder, I guess.
Prince Fielder, yeah. We talked about one of mine with Rougned Odor. My other one was Giancarlo Stanton. He's the winner of this year's home run derby, and I won't talk too much about him. He's still a young player that doesn't do a lot of things really well, but the one thing that he is amazing at is hitting the ball really far. Dude is freaking amazing. He's like, man, I watched the home run derby. He killed it. He was hitting him like close to 500 feet, just bombs. And afterwards, he said he wasn't hitting them as hard as he could because the ball takes too long to land, and you're like on a timer. So you can't get the next pitch until after that one's landed. So he wasn't even swinging as hard as he could, and they were still going like forever.
I wonder if he swung if they were just messing around, some guy threw, and then he was messing around with his team, if he hit as hard as he could, I wonder how far it could go. Like
he's hit, I think he's gone over 500 feet in his career. I think his longest this year is 490. That was in a game.
What was the longest?
Well, that's debatable. The longest that I've seen on TV was Jose Canseco's that was like 520-something feet. Mickey Mantle hit one that was supposedly 565 feet. And then he hit another one. This is before games were televised, and they were televised, but before it was nationally broadcast, and before they had the technology to track where these things would go. He hit one, I think it was against Detroit, that hit the top rafter of their stadium and then fell down. And they measured it later. That rafter where it hit was 370 feet from the plate, and it was 118 feet from the ground. So imagine the trajectory that thing had to be going at to hit 370 feet away, 118 feet up. Dang. It probably would have gone over 600 feet. Yeah. I mean, Mickey Mantle could crush the ball. We'll talk about Mickey Mantle later. But
you could go into a lot of detail with Mickey Mantle.
I love Mickey Mantle. But, okay, so, Giancarlo Stanton, he is the modern day, just crush the freaking ball. If he can do other things well, too. He can play defense okay, and he's pretty fast, but he needs to work on his overall game before he's a bona fide superstar. But I love how he crushes those home runs. All right, so that's I got to mention one other. Since we already knocked out one of my honorable mentions, I'll add one more. Bryce Harper.
Yes, I forgot about him. I could have done a lot with him.
I used to love Bryce Harper, and I still like him a lot. He's fallen off for me this year, and that's partially because his performance has been down this year. And like I said, those go hand in hand with me. If you play well, I like you more most of the time. He's got really cool hair, and he is a very good player. He's just in a slump. So, you guys ready to move on to
the worst?
The worst.
Yeah.
Batista.
Okay, I had Bautista too, but I'm going to change mine since you guys both put him. And we've already kind of talked about him. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to it before we move to my the worst?
Batista, the WWE character, is much more likable than he is in his WWE character.
And
Batista's
spelled
an animal.
Yeah.
He's an animal.
And spelled differently.
And Batista and WWE would take him on Batista bomb.
That's right. So we already talked about him. I'm going to add Jonathan Papelbon to my list. You guys probably don't know him. He's a closer for the Nationals. He's always been a jerk. And he got in a fight with Bryce Harper. They're on the same team. And they got in a fight last year.
Bryce Harper won?
Well, it was in their dugout, and Papelbon went to try to choke him. And, it was a big deal. And Bryce Harper, he's not the nicest guy either. I still like him, but Papelbon's a total jerk, and I just don't like the guy.
Weird name.
All right.
Papelbon?
Yeah.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that's the dumbest last name in baseball I know.
And I'm going to also add to my worst list anybody on the Angels.
Yeah.
Or the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Angels and Blue Jays.
I hate them.
Yeah, screw them.
That means red's better than blue, for sure.
Well, the Angels are kind of red.
No.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, yeah. But the Blue Jays are blue.
So are the Rangers.
No.
Hey, Rangers are red and blue.
They are red and blue, but they're mostly blue. I mean, traditionally, they've always been blue.
They're technically purple. Red and blue makes purple.
They're not
red and
purple.
blue and white makes lavender.
Okay, so moving on. All right, so are you guys ready to wrap up? Do we have any other final thoughts?
Oh yeah. I was thinking for our next episode, it could be top 5 coolest lightsaber crystals.
Colors?
Yeah.
So, okay, we might be able to do that. I don't think anybody else in the world would be interested in hearing that.
Yeah, I guess. But I just feel like talking about Star Wars.
Okay, so you've been begging me to do another Star Wars episode. We did one for episode 1, and I'm telling you, we got to space them out. But if we're going to do one, let's do the 5-1 Star Wars non-movie characters.
Oh, it's on. We all know what's our number 1 for sure.
And if we're struggling, we could ask, the listeners, you guys, what you guys want to hear for the next episode.
Yeah.
We could also do that.
Yeah, we need more participation on our Facebook page. I get people because I post when we have a new episode on my page, and people will comment on my page, but they don't comment on our on like the 5 to 1 Facebook page. And you guys don't even use Facebook, which
I probably should. I should probably start using it for posting.
yeah, definitely. Get on there, be active, get other people to be active. I want fan interaction.
I guess
That's what
I
I
could do
want.
both.
So on this last episode that the last one that we published, which was the places to eat, the one that you didn't record, Kade.
Yeah.
Your aunt, she listened to it, and she was commenting on my Facebook page while she was listening, like different points. You guys will have to go read it. And I love that. I want people to do that on our Facebook page. So go out to our Facebook page. It is facebook.com/5to1podcast. We have Twitter, which I don't really know much about Twitter, but we have one. It's at 5to1podcast. We have a website, 5to1podcast.com. And we have an email address, 5to1podcast@gmail.com. There are lots of ways to get a hold of us. So thank you to everyone for taking the time to listen.
I love you.
Yeah, that's it. So please join us next time for our discussion on 5 to 1 Star Wars non-movie characters.
Love you.